Me and James are going to talk today about James McAtee. Linked with Everton quite a number of times now already. More stuff out this morning. David Moyes apparently a big admirer of him. He is a player who I really like. Yeah. He's a player I thought Everton should have tried to get last summer because he'd had a good loan at Sheffield United. Was one of their better players. Obviously stayed at City. Fair play to him. And has played games for them last year. In fact, I was really surprised Pep didn't use him earlier in the season when they hit that brick wall before Christmas, and he was just seemed to be doing the same thing every week. But then he put him in, and he ended up being involved in 15 Premier League games. Only started 3, but scored 3 goals for them. But good player, I think. I like the look of him. Think he's really talented. Obviously, he's the nephew of Alan Ball or something, or a great nephew of Alan Ball or something. So there is an Everton link there as well, of course. And what do you think about him?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because as you said, he did have a really good season, and then he went to City. And as you said, even though he was struggling quite a bit, he didn't really get into the team properly. When you've seen like a few of the players around the City squad who were like youngsters really like get into it, like what's that one who was playing left back but he was actually a number 10, what's his name?
Nico O'Reilly.
Yeah, and there's a few of them who really got into it, and he wasn't really a part of that like sort of, I don't know, core of them people. So you can understand that why you'd want to get rid of them, because Pep Guardiola said he wants like a smaller squad, doesn't he, this season? Doesn't want to have loads of people just benched or not even in the squad. And I think for Everton, it's a good opportunity to get someone in, because ultimately what we've been lacking is creativity. And if it's someone who can play in that 10 position and he's also can play out wide, then it's perfect for Everton, really, isn't it? And you've seen how the City youngsters have done when they've moved on to different clubs, and it always comes back to sort of bite City in a way, but sort of not. So I can see it happening. Everton get him for like a fairly good price, but as we were discussing earlier, that there'd probably be like a big sell-on clause or a buyback or something involved with it, just in case.
He played 27 times for Manchester City last season, 963 minutes, and scored 7 goals. So that's a really good return. I think his season at Sheffield United, the 22-23 season, 2,297 minutes, which equated to being involved in 42 matches. Oh. He ended up with 9 goals and 4 assists there. So then the 23-24 season, 33 games, 1,960 minutes, ended up with 5 goals, 4 assists. So he's creative, he scores goals.
If you can be anything like what Cole Palmer's been to Chelsea, then I'll take it.
We'll have it every day, don't we? He generally does play wide for City, wide on the right. When he's been there, that's mainly where he's been, but we do see him pop up. Sheffield United, he was central, left, right, and I think he's done the similar job to Manchester City, to be honest, attacking midfield or off the right-hand side. So I think he is a quality player. Can Everton get him? I don't know. I mean, are you concerned that Everton are behind the curve a little bit?
We should have done it earlier.
No, but see, this is really difficult because there's no reason to panic right now.
Yeah.
But in some respects, because of... See, in a normal season where Everton have got their squad and say 2 or 3 were going out the door, you'd just be like, what do you expect? Nothing's going to happen yet. You know, we'll get into July. And there is that feeling, you know, we'll get into July and stuff will start. But is there any little bit of concern for you that we are behind the curve a little bit in terms of squad players? I mean, and people going out. We know, again, that Everton have brought in, obviously, Carlos Alcaraz. I mean, Everton will have 15 players on July the 1st. Can't include James Coleman and Idrissa Gana Gueye at the moment because we don't know. All Everton have said is they've offered them contracts. Now, we're led to believe that Idrissa was ready to sign, but then there was a story last night saying he's actually not happy with the contract offer.
Oh, really?
He wants it to be longer. So I don't know if there's any truth in that. That was just sort of what was said yesterday. So take out Coleman and take out Gay at the moment, put them to one side. On July the 1st, contracted players to Everton and in their squad is Jordan Pickford and Harry Tyler. They're the goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Defenders, Nathan Patterson, James Tarkowski, Jared Brantwaite, Jake O'Brien, Vitaly Michalenko. Okay, so we've essentially got
a back four and a spare.
A back four and a sub right back. Midfield, James Garner, Timmy Abunam, Harrison Armstrong. So we've got 3 midfield players. And they've put Carlos Alcaraz as a forward. I'd have him in the midfield. But forward, Carlos Alcaraz, Dwight McNeil, Iliman and Jai, Beto and Yusuf Chimiti. That's Everton's squad on July the 1st, barring an influx of players coming in on July the 1st. But right now, contracted players, Everton have 15. We'll have 15 players. Now, that could be boosted by Seamus Coleman and Idrissa Gana Gueye. Yeah. But still 17 players.
And Michael Keane, potentially.
Well, we don't know. Yeah. I mean, apparently there's 3 or 4 clubs in for Michael Keane. Everton today have been linked with Victor Lindelof, who is a free transfer from Manchester United on June the 30th. They're only 30. You mentioned Kurt Zouma yesterday. Yeah. There was a little link to Kurt Zouma, who's also free on July the 1st. David Moyes has had him before. So one of those 2 could come in as number 4 with Michael Keane going if he goes. But right now, we're going to have 15 contracted players. I imagine Seamus will sign, so that'll be 16. And I'm hoping that Idrissa signs. But that still puts Everton in there. There's Harry Tyler, who's never played the first team game for Everton. And there's Harrison Armstrong, who David Moyes may or may not consider good enough for the squad next season. And there's Yusuf Chimiti, who David Moyes may or may not consider good enough for the squad. If you remove those 3 from that, you've got 12 players.
Which is worrying, yeah. It is worrying, but also in a sense, is it not? Could you not flip it and say it's also exciting in a way? The fact that we are going to have to sign players, we don't really have a choice now. And that the players that have left the club, there's not really anywhere you're like, I'm proper gutted that's happened. And it's like the players who are leaving, you can look at Calvert-Lewin, Keane and Decore if they all do go. You can imagine they're on a lot of money. And it just gives a fresh chance for Everton to sort of reinvest that money and the contracts they're putting into players who can be the next sort of generation of Everton rather than sticking to like the old era type of players.
Well, someone like James McAtee would certainly help Everton on the creativity side as well. And he is there's a little bit of Phil Foden about him in terms of this movement with the ball. He's clever. He'll take it under pressure. I don't think Everton have got, and Jai does it really well. Yeah. But I don't think there's many others who take the ball, want the ball under pressure and are confident he'll come out with it.
Would you be worried though with Everton signing him that, as you said, he does predominantly play on the right, like for City and stuff, that it's, once again, you're not really addressing like the lack of pace issue?
He's not slow, but he's not knocking the ball. You're not knocking the ball over the top to him, are you? That's for sure. It's again, when you look at Everton's squad, the manager's mentioned this a few times. It's imbalanced. It's totally. There's an imbalance there about it. So if you went through position for position, you got your keeper, so they need another goalie. Yeah. I know Michael Cooper from Sheffield United's been talked about, but I don't know whether that's real. That's a goer. So they need another keeper, definitely. Then you've got right back. Well, they've got O'Brien and Patterson, and probably Seamus. Yeah. So you can debate all day whether them 3 are good enough to play there. O'Brien did a good job, but do you want him there again? Who knows? I think the better teams have flying fullbacks. Yeah. Right. Then we've got Tarkowski, Brantwaite, and O'Brien. Yeah. So, so we need another centre-back, definitely, because Keane looks like he might go. And we've got 1 left-back. So there's an imbalance there. And then you go on the left-hand side, so you go McNeil and Jai can both play off the left. Okay. Yeah. All right, so you might go, all right, the left is okay. Fine. Move across, and you've got Irabunum, and you've got maybe Idrissa. Yeah. I mean, I'm saying he'll stay, but I can't 100% say it. We should have a Drissa, hopefully.
I know, yeah.
And James Garner. And then we've got Harrison Armstrong, who okay, great at Derby, but is he good enough for the Prem?
Yeah.
Or does he need longer? So there's an imbalance in there. You could make a case 1 or 2 players needed for in there. But definitely need 1 in there, but you could make a case for 2. You've got Charlie Alcaraz who can play in there as well. And then over on the right, you've got nobody. You've got nobody. So there's a huge gap on that right-hand side. Both of the 2 players we had on loan who were right wingers have gone. I mean, neither of them was a right winger, but they played there. And then we get up front, we've got Beto and we've got Schmidt who needs a loan. So there's a huge imbalance there, and that's where David Moyes. So maybe we should be looking for 2. And if McAtee's offered as a loan rather than a sale, then maybe the other player should be someone who is quick.
Yeah.
And obviously we've got a winger video where we suggest a few players that Everton could be looking at to play down there, because there's a huge imbalance there.
Absolutely.
And obviously up front, you know, if Calvert-Lewin, regardless of what he does, Everton need a striker anyway, because they need 3. People can go, no, we'll get away with 2. We have 4 this season and ended up with 1 for 2 months. So. No, but that shows you if that happens again, we end up with none, and then we are struggling. So Everton may well be looking at 2 centre forwards as well if they're going to let Schmidt go out. So we'll see. But I think McAtee, because he can play in a 10, he can play on the left, he can play on the right. If Everton could get him on loan, I think he'd be a clever signing.